Hello, and welcome everybody to the newest episode of the What Topic podcast. I am your host, Owen Burkett at owen.burkett.
And your co-host, Mr. Josh Deakin. Josh Deakin at Mr. Josh Deakin. Oh, you can tell we've been off this for a while.
We've been off this for a while, but yes, we're finally back. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. All our listeners know what we've been up to, so it's kind of like anyone that has not been following us or that is not friends or family, then welcome back.
Yes, welcome back to the podcast that we've been away from for pretty much close to 2 months.
Almost 2 months, and
the longest we've gone away, our longest stint.
And my God, things have happened during that time.
Yeah,
I mean, I can say for myself. So,
me too.
It's just crazy. Obviously, we started this during lockdown, and we're like, oh yeah, we could do a podcast episode every week or two. And now, because of things are slowly sort of opening or reopening or whatever, then it's kind of like, oh yeah, we can't really do that now.
It's the case that because we had so much time on our hands. Well, we had time on our hands, but also didn't have time on our hands. But we made it work because it was something that was, it wasn't even just a tie over. This podcast was never meant to be a tie over. It was something that we both were very passionate about doing, and we obviously was very much a laid back approach with it. I guess to the point where we've left it nearly 2 months for one episode. I mean, we've obviously been away before for a month or so in the past. But we don't take this podcast too seriously. But obviously the topics that we can speak about sometimes do get serious, and that's fine. This podcast really is the way we decide to mold it, the way that we decide to just take it. We don't take it too seriously, but at the same time, we also, think about what we want to talk about. It's a great thing for us to do. Because we both don't live near each other, it's nice because we do talk regularly on Instagram and through, messages on iMessage as well. But we don't sit down and talk this sort of setting very often, at least at the moment. So you can kind of expect that this is a bit more of a sort of catch-up episode on our part, but there is definitely a wealth of stuff to talk about. Obviously, from the point of things improving back in late July, obviously, and we obviously had the changeover from wearing masks as a mandate and everything like that. All the clubs opening up, and everyone was on. All the world was watching. Will the UK screw up? Well, we're still in the midst of that at the minute. We don't know whether. I mean, I've heard things about numbers coming back down again, and I've heard hospitalizations are starting to flatten out again. So we're in that sort of stasis mode, right? We don't know whether we're too good or we don't know whether we're too bad yet. But obviously, we're not here to talk about that much.
Well, it's a bit hard because obviously I work in an area where we have to keep an eye on that certain thing all the time, and it's just within my job to know these things. So as much as I don't want to talk about it all the time, it's something I have to be made aware of what's going on in that front. So
I'm quite happy with the way that the last end of July into August and now into September, I must be honest, COVID has started to finally move a bit to the background in my day-to-day life. Mask wearing just comes as a regular thing now. You go to pick it out of your pocket, you stick it on, you get on your bus, you get on your train, whatever you're doing. At this point, if it wasn't already normal, it's to the point now where it's just second nature, and I don't really give much care to it anymore. To be honest, I hardly have the energy to even say to someone, why are you not wearing your mask at this point? At this point now, you've made your bed. I feel like most people have made their bed with these situations. But I mean, the numbers don't lie. It has improved over time. It has obviously, trickled here and there. But it hasn't been the sort of drop-off in terms of a lot of other, establishments of scientific research have been saying back in early in the year. So I mean, we're not out of the woods by any means with COVID. We're not even close, but there was some good sort of grounds in the end that we ended up doing okay for the summer, surprisingly.
Yeah, and it just goes to show that vaccines are working, and
exactly.
social distancing and mask wearing are also working as well. Um, so yeah, and it's also that the fact that more and more people are getting vaccinated, which is a good thing on our part. And also we've just been given the clear to do 12 to 15 year olds, which is
Mm.
another good thing. So that's more training I have to do in my part. And
It is quite an interesting time right now, because obviously now the debate has moved to like whether kids should be forced to get the vaccine, or whether their parents can deny them getting it, or like, you know,
it's
the
that's the
situation.
thing, because 16 and 17-year olds, they can still technically make their own mind up whether they want to get the vaccine, but they still need to be accompanied with a parent, or they could
Mm,
go on their own. But anyone under that age, they need to be given consent by a parent
exactly. Yeah. I mean,
because it's
the college by me, where I work, they've actually now got a vaccine van outside at the minute throughout the next few days. It's going to go over to some of the other campuses further over in the learning quarter, but for the moment, it's currently like based around the main campuses in the area, and they've had a massive turnout. I think they've vaccinated out of the campuses that are in the vicinity of where I work, the main part of the town area. I think they've vaccinated close to about 500 students now.
that's
That's a
good.
big feat. That's amazing. That is.
That's normally, well, I would say a quiet day for us, but then, a quiet day for me is like 140 odd patients, and that's dead. Um, and the fact is that as I tell people, like I never have an issue with people rejecting the vaccine as long as
Oh
they,
yeah, yeah,
if they say to themselves like, well, I still don't feel, I still feel like I need to ask more people around, or just do, my own thinking, my own decision making. That's all it is. What I don't agree with is the misinformation that the anti-vaxxers are therefore prohibiting people to make the proper decision or whether or not they should take the vaccine.
yeah. There's still a lot of things that are floating around with that, and like obviously people like getting agitated about media stories saying like people that like they're on their deathbed and they wish that they got vaccinated. Like you can quite quickly put an opinion together and believe that the media are basically getting funded by the government to guilt trip people by making fake stories, and I don't think that's the case at all. I think that it's easy to put thought into that and think that is it, but like if that was the case, the government would still be doing it now. If that was the case, like those stories aren't coming out as regularly at the minute now, but like there was obviously a place for them to come out, because and I think if it was funded by the government, they'd have to say so if it was funded by the government, because they do have sometimes government features in newspapers, and they quite clearly say this was a paid promotion by the government, so they wouldn't be able to pull the wool over anyone's eyes on that one.
Well, the other thing is that I've talked to two nurses that worked in the ICU wards in Southampton or somewhere in the southeast, and they've dealt with patients dealing that had COVID, dealing with from newborns to people in their 20s, 30s, and
Blimey.
40s, and and she had to basically had to do the hard work, basically just telling the loved ones that this person is not going to make it.
Not going to make it, yeah. And no one wants to deliver that sort of news. And people who keep on, forcing a fake truth aren't gonna. I feel like those people know that they've got to know that it's going to come back and bite them at some point, because there's no reason not to get a vaccine at this point. Like they've both. I believe I don't know about the Moderna one, but I definitely know that AstraZeneca and Pfizer have now been released out of emergency use. Now they are officially vaccines that are allowed in this country to be used.
I think
At least if I read it right. At least.
no, you are correct, but I'm just trying to find the latest information about that.
At least I know Pfizer is definitely officially.
Yeah, no, for sure. So we got the booster jabs being recommended to older adults living in care homes, frontline health and social care workers, i.e., someone myself.
Mm.
All adults 50 or over, those 16 to 49 years old with underlying health conditions, adult household contacts of the immunosuppressed, those not listed above, example, the under 50s may not need a booster. So you like
Yeah.
yourself may need one. You could have one, but it's
It's
unlikely.
not necessary at the minute. Yeah.
No, boosters should be given no earlier than 6 months after the second dose. So, for in my example, I can't get mine until the 24th of November. So
I mean, to be fair, they were talking about doing it just before the winter, weren't they? At one point.
they said Pfizer is the preferred vaccine. Alternative will be Moderna, which is will be a half a dose.
I know that. Obviously, recently AstraZeneca, obviously, its effectiveness
AstraZeneca. So I'll
goes down
be
to
getting
30.
probably AstraZeneca. Yeah,
I've heard that the effectiveness of AstraZeneca though it goes down to like 30% after 3 or 4 months, right? Unfortunately.
it's just one of those things. But it's better to be protected than not being protected.
Oh yeah, there's no reason not to get protected at this point. Like still, like some I think some people who got AstraZeneca at the start feel a bit miffed off now that like they don't have a stronger protection as like a Pfizer person now.
No, but I'm not going to complain. By this point, it's like it's done and dusted. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like I've definitely saved myself so many situations. I mean, going out like I've been out. I ain't gonna like sugarcoat it. I've been out clubbing quite a few times now since the club's open properly, and I haven't felt uncomfortable going clubbing one bit. I thought at the start it was gonna be a little bit awkward because like even myself I'd not been properly clubbing for a while, even before COVID. Like the last time I'd properly been clubbing I think was at the start of 2019. So I'd had quite a long break from being clubbing, and I wasn't in crowds that I really enjoyed going clubbing with. So like I really kind of I had a disgust for it. But like I weaned myself back into it by doing the like sit down events at different clubs that like had where you couldn't stand up and dance and stuff, and you had to sit the whole night. And those were great fun. Like, and I was ready for those times to get back into the club and properly like have a good boogie. Like don't get me wrong, I'm not the best dancer in the world, but I will go and have
after a few drinks nobody is a good dancer.
No, everyone thinks they're a good dancer until they're told they're a bad dancer by someone.
It's like that bit in the Wolf of Wall Street. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like he's under drugs and he thinks he's carefully driving down and he's doing it so well, but then when he gets arrested and says, "Is this your car?" and he sees it's totally totaled, it's absolutely totaled, and he goes, "Oh, maybe I wasn't that smooth," and it goes back to it, and he's smashed. He's like, "Get out the fucking way!"
Yeah, that was so fun. Oh man, I love The Wolf of Wall Street. I haven't watched that in a while. I need to watch it again. The official guy, I forget his name, Jordan Belfort. He's actually like he's got a big name for himself on Instagram, like, and social media. Like I think he helps people like make.
I think that film really propelled him.
He's definitely like obviously like on the straight these days. Like he
says I've done shitty things during that day or during that time when I was doing what I was doing, and if I had that mindset now back then, obviously I would have done it more legit than basically stealing people's money.
Exactly, yeah. He was inflating shares in the market, like he was selling a lie.
Well, that was because of the Wall Street crash, and he was just thinking, well, how the fuck am I going to make more money? And he just went, well, let me pretend to.
Was it like penny? Like he was like making penny shares.
Penny share. Yeah, it was penny shares, and they're like nothing. But obviously, he was getting 50% of what the consumer or the buyers were giving them. So say like he, got a $10,000 like deal, he would get $5,000 from that one deal.
Yeah, and he'd make bank.
And it's insane the amount of money he was making, but obviously it didn't last long. So, yeah.
It's definitely one of those cool stories. Though it is like you see like people like I mean as a good kind of example of that, you see like the amount of people that have obviously there's a lot of people that have suffered during COVID, don't get me wrong, but like there are people that have definitely started businesses and flourished during COVID. I mean, I read a news report early this week that jobs available on the market has just peaked over 1 million again. So this is actually the first time that that jobs that are available has actually reached a peak, a good peak since I think like 2018, 2019. So it's shown that the economy is actually bouncing back in a very effective way. No, obviously, there's businesses that have gone under or have been bought out. Like we've obviously lost the likes of Debenhams, Topshop on the high street in the last few months. Some really big names that have departed, and obviously COVID was probably the last nail in the coffin for most of them. And obviously I know they all live online now, whether like they're on ASOS or Boohoo or Pretty Little Thing, whatever. Like even Dorothy Perkins, like they went bust, and Burton as well. They all went online. Like the shelves of shops elsewhere in the UK now. So obviously there's some problems that still need to be fixed on the high street. But don't get me wrong, the economy is definitely taking a good position going forward. And I mean, even in my own life as well, like my job is, I'm about to finalise the paperwork soon for my official job. My apprenticeship is over. Like literally, this is like nearly a year, just under a year. Actually, no, just over a year ago when we started this podcast. I was talking about, hopefully I'll be getting the job in the next year. And like, look at me now. Like I'm at the end of that process now. It just shows progression. Yeah, I couldn't be more happier. I'm in such a good place with friends. I feel like I'm more secure than I've ever been, and COVID is still going on. It just shows you that during the most dire times, you can still find happiness and still find a way.
It's tough, and but there's always a light in the tunnel. I know it's cheesy and cliche to say, but
I completely agree.
But there always is. It's like not really walking down a straight tunnel. For me, it just feels like I'm climbing out of a really dark, danky, really horrible cave.
Exactly.
And I'm seeing just a splinter of light just shining through, and yeah, it
keeps you going.
It's just like the same with me, like the fact that I've got a new phone for the start of the year. I've got a laptop. Finally got my photography up and running. Like even to the point where I'm thinking like, fuck it, I'm gonna get a Polaroid camera.
Yeah, you got the brand new Polaroid now.
I got the new one. It was so kind of like I was kind of like I've always thought of like wanting a Polaroid camera, and I looked at Polaroid Go, but I thought it's just too small, and
even the Instax Mini was probably a bit too small for you as well.
Yeah, so I just got an email saying introducing the new the Now Plus. So I went, fuck it, I'm gonna get it. So
I mean, it's got an app as well, which I'm jealous of. Like it's like properly up to date.
That was actually the one was looking at. So obviously there was the Polaroid Now, and I can't remember. Oh, it was the One Step Plus. That's it. I remember now. So that was the one I was interested because they had the app, so you can do the manual settings or
exactly
everything.
Yeah.
And you have more control over it. So that appealed to me because obviously if I'm going to be into this photography thing, then I want to try, experiment on Polaroid cameras as well. And
yeah, I'm literally just looking at their app right now. Like, so it obviously works with the Now Plus, the One Step, and the Lab. It looks so cool. This app does, You got like a remote time, double exposure options, as you've told me about earlier.
Yeah, they just updated the homepage on it recently. So cool. And I only just found out what the Lab is. Like it's basically a little device where you put your phone down and then it makes the Polaroid photos of the photos on your screen.
Yeah, it basically like it grabs the most polished out version of the photo on your phone. It's brilliant. It's a great idea. I mean, I've seen other companies do it before, but like doing it in the proper sort of Polaroid essence, that like everyone wants that Polaroid look. Like you can't really get you can get as close as you can, like with filters on Instagram and stuff, but like that's like the closest experience. Like you're scanning a photo from a phone screen. Like that's already quite a tricky process as it is.
It is a tricky process, but the good thing is at least if you take a photo on your phone, you've done the lighting, you know that what you see is what you get, and then you can make it into a. Whereas with this one, obviously with Polaroid cameras, as you and your other mates know about, is you just hope to God that it comes out clear. And
yeah, my one's in a bit of a sticky one. I haven't used it for a while, but I think there's actually something wrong with it. I've just been procrastinating. Sorry,
that's the other thing I have to get used to. Is obviously after I've used my 8 reels of film, I have to like clean it and then make sure I
brand new more. So, but it's expensive.
Yeah, but I'm excited. Like it's just a new thing for me to get interested in, and I just think being into that sort. And then like I said, my photography is picking up well. I got two
Honestly,
more
mate, some of
shoot.
the stuff that you've been doing your photography, I am so blown away by it. Like you've really like for everyone who's listening, like if you haven't seen Owen's latest work, please go and check it out. Indulge in it, because if there's one thing that makes me happy at the minute, out of like just everything cameras and photography and social media, is that one of my favorite mediums, outside of traditional digital camera photography, mobile photography, is proving to people, like throughout the different conversations I've had on even on my other podcast that I'm bringing back very shortly with John. Obviously, who's been on the podcast before, Get the Shot podcast. That's hopefully coming back soon. We spoke about that on that podcast in length about mobile photography really becoming the next big change and shift in cameras. I mean, you can see it already in like Canon and Sony, like they are like embracing a lot more of the sort of mobile-esque sort of features on their cameras. Like obviously they dipped their toes in it in the past with like on camera apps and stuff like double exposure apps and other little things that just like enhance the experience, but like they are really now seeing the fruits of the labor on the mobile side, and the work that you're doing really is pushing that agenda home, and it's beautiful. Like I think that's the best word I've got for it. It's just beautiful. Like you can put a digital DSLR photo or a mirrorless photo next to yours, and like I'll be honest that the difference is really hard to tell sometimes because of just how progressed we are now with photography in mobile scene, the editing scene, the gear you got. I mean, like, tell the ladies and gentlemen like your gear setup with it. Like, just tell them how cool it is.
So obviously, so I thought about, because before I had the iPhone 12 Pro, which I've been using. I had an iPhone 7, and I just thought there's only so much I can do with the iPhone 7. Like it'll give decent photos and video quality, but
it was in the upcoming era of the cameras, wasn't it?
But it was just something that obviously I heard that the iPhone 12 was just coming out, and I saw its features, and I was like, this is exactly what I want. As soon as they introduced the Apple Pro Raw, then that was like, that's what I need. Like for me, it just screamed like I need this phone. And luckily I got a really good deal with on O2, and so I got that. And then obviously I was very aware of the company Moment, and I've used the filters before. Sorry, not filters. The lenses before in the past. So I was waiting to get their cases to come out with the MagSafe case, and then obviously get the wide and tele lens and anamorphic lens, and I've also got the ND stop to 2 to 6 stop. I've also got the 20% Cinebloom, which they've just recently brought out a 5% Cinebloom. So if you think that the 10 or 20% Cinebloom is a bit too much, the 5% is just like, it just softens like the bits. Like if you don't want it too sharp of the detail, then you could just put that on. And what's the other one I got? Oh yeah, the anti-glare, which I've been using a lot more of. If I'm not wanting to use it in nighttime or anywhere near neon lights or anything sort of stylistic, then I'll just go for the anti-glare one, because
that's fantastic.
It just cuts, it just gets more of the colors, and it just and say, like, for example, I went to a photography event with UK shooters, and there was a woman, one of the models was in the car, and I thought, oh, I can actually shoot through the window.
Yeah, because it was it the Dukes of something, right?
The Duke of London with
London,
partnered with Bentley.
Oh, and Bentley cars, man. I would have loved to have been there that day, but like, it's just timing, wasn't it?
Yeah, and so we, so I got to basically turn the glare, because you can control the amount of glare, that whether you want to see the subject through the window or not.
Yeah, with a lens filter, like even on a big DSLR or a mirrorless camera, like obviously you basically manipulate the amount of light by turning it so many stops, basically, right?
Yeah. And and also, and this is the one where a lot of people got a lot of people staring what I was having.
Hmm.
I had the Profoto C1 Plus, which is
Yes.
basically a mobile light, and it's such a useful light to have. Like, it's probably one of the best investments I've made. It,
It
it
was not
was
a cheap
cheap,
one, but
but it was but when you look at the photos I've done, you'd be like, okay, that was worth it.
that's worth the
And
pennies, worth every penny. Yeah.
yeah, because there were times where, like, if the certain subject was just too dark, like, I just point it. And the great thing is it's so mobile. Like, I can have the phone in one hand and then the light in the other hand, and I just point it whatever angle works.
And it just blows you away, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, and the fact I got gel kits, and then it was funny because I had 3 or 5 people, I think, just look at me like, so what? Like, you grab that light, you can either press it on the phone or on the button, and I'm like, yeah, and I just pulled it like, and then show, and then I just showed them the photo, and they went, wow, that's amazing. So yeah, so that's basically my gear, and I'm looking at a new tripod because the one I had is basically 20 years old. It's basically
Blimey.
since I've had it for college. It's all right, but some of the gears are like, it's showing its
Yeah,
age.
it's not as strong as it used to be. Like, yeah.
It's all right for now. If I'm not asking too much of it, then
Hmm.
it does its job. But again, like, there's a bit where it gets a bit stiff, or like, it's just, yeah,
To be honest,
I definitely don't like.
some of them do lose their caliber over the years. Like because obviously the way the construction, if it is like, they'll either get rusty, or like the gears get like, well, not even the gears, but like, the basically every part of the tripod just gets really sort of locked up, and it just needs, like, sometimes you can get away with just a bit of WD-40 and that'll fix it, but obviously it really all depends on the body construction of the tripod. Like, it might just be more beneficial to just spend some money on a new one, because sometimes you can't save everything with even WD-40 can't save everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the fact that I don't think it's just the fact that it just needs WD-40. I think it's just going out. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good. It's always good to upgrade over time. Excuse me. I say it's the same. Even actually, speaking of which, that Apple have just released their new plethora of phones. They've just released the
Which,
13,
I'm
13
not gonna
mini.
lie, I like the lineup. I'm a
Mm,
tad annoyed because there's certain features in the iPhone 13 Pro. I'm like, God damn it! I wish I just hold on for longer, because there's certain
yeah,
features I went, that's what I need. But
I'm not
anyways,
completely filled in on all the features yet, so I won't mention them much. But I know obviously they've called it obviously the 13 mini, the 13 Pro
are they bring out
Max.
the? I didn't see the 13 mini,
Yeah, they're
so
still doing contrary to prior belief, obviously, like, of the news saying that, like, it wasn't doing very well as a phone. They've
I
obviously
heard the
kept
opposite.
it.
Everyone was like saying, so, they bought it as like a casual phone, because
Yeah, I was
like
surprised.
because some people have like a business phone, like they
Hmm.
got like my phone, for example, and then they just have like a little phone that they can have it separate, and
Hmm.
it's actually been working really well. So
Yeah, I think that it was maybe partly like dependent on like how many people were actively continue to use the phone. Maybe, I don't know. Like, I think a lot of it was just speculation, really, and like there was no real official sort of ports. Like, some of it was also down to leaks. Like, I mean, like the big leaker of all of the leaks that have happened recently, John Prosser, obviously, of Front Page Tech, on YouTube. There's just you look at all those things on there. Like, I mean, obviously he even revealed potentially what the iPhone 14 will look like even before the iPhone 13 last week, and that blew up on social media. That, I mean, that was the top trending thing. It was on Twitter. It was last week worldwide. So it just tells you how many people are hungry for the next best thing. Obviously, even before this came out, and they even joked on Twitter earlier. I saw early on before, because I was meeting a friend tonight before we podcast, doing the podcast, me and Owen. So I didn't really get a chance to watch the Apple event. So I'm going to watch it back after the podcast. I am, because as much as I like to read the news and look at the Apple Store website and see what new things are, I like to experience it the way that it would have been live. Like, I'm going to watch it back, see how they talk
yeah,
about, see how they do their marketing babble. Because I'll be honest, I do like an Apple event. I like to watch an Apple event. It's a good experience.
yeah, but the one I was more interested to see the differences between my iPhone 12 Pro to the 13 Pro,
Mm.
and it's pretty much almost the same.
It looks like
just,
also it looks like that they brought the prices down as well.
yeah. So, but
The Pro starts at £949, which actually makes me excited because that means I can actually actively look at the Pro and not worry about spending too much more than I was hoping to.
it's a good thing because now they probably realize that I think a lot of people have iPhone 12 Pros than anything, and it just shows that if they just drop the price a bit, then they
Yeah.
get more sales, and also because, and I think the reason for that is because they got more memory options.
Yes, I've
Then
heard that I believe there was a report that there was dropping the 64 GB model. So I think it
so they
starts at
so I think
128
so
now.
so I think they still got the same memory storage from the iPhone 12 Pro to the 13 Pro. So I think you got like the I don't know what
256 and
so
128.
256. Then what's the one in the middle?
So it was 128, 256, and I think there was a 512 GB, and then there was speculation of a 1 TB this year, but I don't know.
There is. So
There is a
that's
1 TB.
So it's the highest amount of storage in the 13 Pro is 1 TB.
Fucking hell.
So
That's
that's
unreal.
probably that's the reason. So that's my reason why
That's a
they
beefy
probably
boy.
dropped it.
My dad's got
So
my dad's got the iPhone 10 with 256 GB, and he hasn't even got past 100 yet. With them out, like he likes it because he can obviously store a lot of his photos locally, and like he ain't gonna use all that up. He ain't.
no, I mean I've got the was it five? Was it how much? I can't.
I think you decided to go for a fairly big one, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm just trying to
Because
find
you were
it.
weighing up your options, like obviously with like your future intentions.
Well, that's the thing. I got the Apple storage plan. So
Mm.
that's like, oh, what was it, like 200 gig?
Okay.
I think. But yeah, so at the moment, I was on iCloud. Yeah, of course. So iCloud, I've used 70.5 gigabytes out of 200,
Oh wow, that's pretty good.
and that's including some 4K footage I've shot plus raw photos I've shot, and
Wow,
it's still not full.
that's really good going. That is, and then obviously, what is your actual phone's like? Storage inside.
Um, I, I still got the box. I think it's five, whatever it was.
512. It'll tell you on your general.
It's definitely 512 because yeah, I just felt I was going to go for 256, I think, and I just thought I'll just go for 512.
Yeah, yeah. You just
But
you was weighing up that option because I remember you talking to me about it.
and so the thing that got me thinking, ah, damn it, I wish I had it. So they have a new feature when you record. They have what they called cinematic mode.
I heard people about this on Twitter because I was looking through Twitter as I was getting ready for the podcast.
So you can change the shadow of depth. So obviously, if you've got two
Ooh.
characters, so you've got a cat, so you got a say like a model or an actor in the forefront, and you got one in the background.
Mm.
It'll track their faces, so you can
Oh, that's
tap on,
cool.
so you can tap on the one at the front at first, say they're saying a line, and then the next character is going to say a line behind them. You tap in their face, and they will.
Oh, when it does that like that thing where it goes from seeing someone here to like seeing them there like that.
It changes focus. Yeah.
Okay, that is some really cool piece of software.
So when I saw they added that to the 13 Pro, I'm like, fuck, that's what I want. So
Oh well, next time round.
like wait till
Let's be frank here. You can't escape the FOMO of every new iPhone, unfortunately.
I know that's the thing that sucks. It's like, you kind of want to go, well, can I wait a little bit longer for the iPhone X, whatever it is?
I'm happy that I've waited because the price is lower.
So I'm still happy with my iPhone 12 Pro.
Oh, I'm glad for that.
I'm making the most out of it, and yeah, and also bought a DJI Osmo 3, which I'm really excited about. I know I've seen they got a new one out, but I did read up about it, and it would be more better if I had the 3 than I would have the 4.
Because you save some money and like you wouldn't lose out.
It's not only that, it's more compatible with the case and everything else that I've got with it, so it'll be more just better. Like it'll just work more fluid.
Plus, you'll save some money by having the model, not the newest model,
and it still works perfectly. Like I'm still impressed by it. Like the fact, so you connect it on your phone with the Bluetooth, and then say, for example, excuse me, if you say, for example, you want to track someone in particular without having to use the toggle on the thing. So you press it on, you go on the app, and you just use your finger to swipe it on, just drag it on the screen, and then it will recognize who it is that you're looking at. So say you want to focus on even on an inanimate object, so say like a TV, and then when you move it, it'll move and stay focused on that.
But yeah, like their drones do. They follow modes. Like they'll follow the person with the controller. Like it'll like train itself to know who it is. Or like if you want it to follow something else, like or follow a car, it's that same sort of software.
Yeah, and the reason I bought that one is because obviously, with reels being a thing, and so I'm thinking like because I now got two gimbals. So I've got the one with the flea fly, which will be more my cinematic, short films, like if I want to shoot it on my iPhone. But I just thought, like, what about everything else? Like, I probably need something to make, maybe a reel on Instagram, because that seems to be on the rise now, and it will be kind of a good thing when I do shoots with models that I can also do a bit of video, as I've seen.
Yeah, you can definitely pair that up, and obviously, make the algorithm pleased that you're doing reels as well as doing photography.
Yeah, so it's
pander to Instagram. I mean, that's one of the things that's changed since we last on the podcast. That Instagram have basically now said that they're no longer a photo sharing app only. They're an entertainment app.
Yeah, well, they originally said we're only going to be focused on videos. People went, that's bullshit, and then Instagram went, okay, we're not saying it's for photos or video, but like you said, it will more like an overall
platform app. Yeah, and I'm glad that they did that, because obviously they released that collaboration feature recently, which honestly, like, I thought it was only for photos at first, but maybe it's changed in the last few weeks, because I couldn't see an option for it, but it's on reels as well. It's brilliant because, like, you can in a nutshell, you can basically bring two people's follower audiences together and basically, grow on both ends. Like, obviously the original person that posted and obviously asked the other person to collaborate will still get the stats on their stats, insights area themselves, and it won't count against the other collaborators one, unfortunately. But at the same time, though, it's brilliant because you're bringing two audiences together, which means you can both grow together.
Yeah, exactly. And it's rather like do the old-fashioned way where one of you had to like reshare or share the other person's work. Like, you just do it like all in one go. It's so
effortless as well. It's so much more effortless than like the Instagram's weird way of trying to do sharing a photo. Or is it sharing a post in their story? They seem to have definitely backed down from that by now.
It's just like they've grown since then, and it's like the same thing when, oh god, what was it? OnlyFans made a bit of a misstep with that when they said we're no longer going to be we're no longer going to be
able to have
we're not going to allow we're not going to be supporting sexual,
I think,
porn
content. Stars basically as well, right?
It's in other words, it is kind of porn. There's no way around it, and we're not taking away what sex workers do. I think what they're doing is admirable, considering it's considering the stigma they always get, and the taboo and all that bullshit.
Indeed.
So when I heard that, I was one of those people who went, that's bullshit as well, because you made so much money from all those sex workers during pandemic and even before the pandemic, and now you're taking it away.
They were acting so bratty about it, and one of the things that, like, I think obviously was at play was like they were basically like panicking that they were going to lose their payment provider, and if they couldn't have the payment provider like Visa or MasterCard, they're screwed. They are screwed.
Yeah, and it just seemed like they were trying to be so, family friendly, which was like, so you're telling me like you're getting rid of the thing that has been getting people like giving money to these people.
It's like The Simpsons getting rid of The Simpsons. You're getting rid of the core thing.
That's the thing. Like, that's like 20th Century Studios getting rid of Family Guy, Futurama, and The Simpsons, and you're like, hey, wait on, like, so.
No good reason. There's no good reason. Like, they have no good reason. Or you could even say it's like Family Guy no longer having Peter. Like, hang on, where
Well,
did Peter go? What's the point
well,
of him going?
they kind of did that with Brian, and
Oh
they
yeah, and
replaced
they
him for a
replaced
bit.
him, and they definitely regretted that because there was a lot of nasty. There was a lot of hate on the audience for that, from the audience for that.
Yeah, and the thing that sucks is like obviously OnlyFans have now done a 180 and said, oh no, we're not going to get rid of it. We've realized we made a mistake, blah blah blah. But it's also been a bad thing because ever since that news
It's
got
divided.
out, it's not just divided. It's all the sex workers have lost some like nearly half of their subscribers because they went, oh, you're not going to show your tits and ass now. Okay, I'm not going to bother. And it's
Yeah,
just like
and that's the problem. Like you can come back and try and wimp everyone back, but you once you make a decision like that, you're going to lose a lot of people, and some of them will never come
you're going to
back.
cause
Like,
more damage than you think.
They'll vote with their feet. Like I think a good example for this was a few years ago. We were coming back from France, me and my family, and we were on time for the ferry. For the tunnel, the Euro tunnel back to the UK. There was nothing wrong at all, and then they basically said to us that like we come too late for the crossing on the train across in the Eurotunnel, and like they were basically saying that like we didn't have enough time to get through and basically get on the train, and it was a lot of horse shit basically. And my dad was like, right, I'm sorry, but we can't be like this. We're voting with our feet, and we're never using Eurotunnel again. And to this day, we have never used Eurotunnel ever again. We always use the P&O ferry to cross. I mean, yeah, it takes a bit longer to take the P&O ferry across, but it's actually a bit more scenic and a bit more fun. And you can actually get out of worrying about sitting in your car the whole time on the train. Like, yeah, the train's only like 30 to 40 minutes, but oh, excuse me, my voice cracked a bit there, went a bit high. It's only 30, 40 minutes, but like on the ferry, like it's a lot more nice. Like you can go outside, you can get some food, you can get Starbucks coffee on board. Like who's saying no to a Starbucks coffee, you know, with a nice view as you're crossing over? I mean, it might be a bit of a rocky evening, you never know. Sometimes that's the case with the English Channel. But the overall compassing point is that like people do vote with their feet, and you look at the way that the fans of people on that site, and you look at the workers on that site, you know, the people who made the site have basically just gone off to other websites like Admire Me and I can't think of many other names off some of my head. Like even some people have gone the way of running their own their own websites. I think was it Lana Plug or Pug Puss or something like that. I can't think of what her name was. I think she did an interview with Philip DeFranco on his show, like just talking about like, you know, what would happen if they changed their mind, and like obviously now they changed their mind. And she was like, well, I have to think of number one. I can't think of being, you know, wrapped around someone else's finger all the time. And like that's what a lot of the creators on there are now feeling. They're feeling that like they've had their trust breached by OnlyFans, and they don't know whether they can ever take them back on again because of that. Like you're gonna get people that are voting with their feet.
Yeah, there's so much that OnlyFans like have done so much damage than they already did, because obviously there was a bit of I can't remember, but I think certain creators had issues like how much percentage that OnlyFans was taking, and the fact is that since they since they announced that they were going to support sexual content, you know, the fans for various content creators decided to go, I'm going to go somewhere else, and then they said, oh, don't worry, you know, we're going to keep it all together. Well, it's too fucking late now. Like you basically distance like those creators, fans away from them that was providing them
their income,
their income. Yeah, it's basically like, it's like they say to themselves like, you know, it's not the type of job I want to do, but at least I'm in control with, you know, my body, myself, and everything, and what I put on. And
it takes a lot to do a job like that.
And, you know, but that's the thing that I don't think OnlyFans and some people realize is that
they didn't appreciate how much drama they were causing, how much heartache they were causing to people's incomes and livelihoods.
And it's just, you know, I just want to go to OnlyFans. And I'm like, yeah, you do realize you made a huge fuck up, not just the decision, but because of that decision, the creators that you were supposed to be supporting have now lost, you know, maybe a quarter or even half of their fans that were giving them an income.
You've caused such a hardship on them.
And now they're now, like you said, they're now considering, do I really want to stay with OnlyFans if they're going to do something like this again in future?
And that's the thing, like it's like some people feel like they're burnt from the first thing that goes wrong. Like some people, it's the same thing with like, you know, friendships. Some people don't feel like they can give people a second chance. And I mean, obviously, quite a lot of people do give people second chances in life, but like when it's a company at play and they're basically holding, let's be honest here, they're grabbing you by the balls, they're holding your livelihood in the balance, and they could yank that away at any point. And it's the same thing with many other companies out there. Like you really have to be mindful of like rolling the dice with different industries. You know, it's a very it's very treacherous waters. You know, like it's down to a lot of things in life is trust, and OnlyFans have breached the trust of their creators and also people that would go on there to subscribe. And at the end of the day, I can't blame them. You know,
No,
they're going to vote with their
all.
feet.
And I liked how they say to themselves, like they say, we're a website for a variety of creatives. And the only thing that people think about OnlyFans is like sex workers. That's it. And so when they said, oh, we're no longer going to support it, I'm like, wait a minute, you're going to get rid of the one thing that people associate you with that site. Okay. And yeah, I just think that things like, you know, with OnlyFans and, you know, with creatives and um it's so hard now because obviously with this pandemic, like we all said, that you know people have been, you know, finding it as hard as it is, and but especially with a company that is known for a particular thing that was helping people getting a steady income, it's just suddenly just went, you know, never mind if we have to deal with a pandemic, you know, this company is taking the thing that is taking away my income that was making me, you know, happy that I don't have to do a 9 to 5 job or whatever it is that you're doing. And yeah, it's just I really felt sorry for everyone that I knew that was affected by it. And I think I had a bit of a chat with someone about it, and it just listening to them and just feel like they're so stressed out with the fact that they've only got a certain amount of time before they have to consider looking elsewhere.
Well,
And
that's
it's
it. You know,
like,
that's the thing that like it wasn't like an instant change. It wasn't on the platform. It was an October date, but that didn't stop people panicking about what they were going to do next, right?
exactly. And it's just, yeah, you just want to go up to OnlyFans that just go say, dude, that's not cool. Like, you know, you
Yeah,
can't just make a decision like that and then think, oh, don't worry, everything's going to be fine.
yeah.
And
They rocked the boat.
it's like, dude, you made the damage already. It's already done.
they made their bed. They did with that decision, and you know they didn't respond quick enough back. I feel like I feel like
No.
if they made a turnaround decision within 24 to 48 hours, maybe they would have saved more people on the platform. But they left it for at least a good solid 10, nearly 7 to 10 days, I think, before they did anything.
Yeah.
And like,
And
you know what? I don't know the innards of what went on behind the scenes to like obviously get to a point where they could say, guys, we're really sorry. Look, we've managed to work it out here. But I feel like they didn't do enough soon enough. And that's going to be probably I mean, I don't know if it's the death of OnlyFans by any means. It could have been. It really could have been. But like, the platform seems to have flatlined again a bit more now. Well, not flatlined, that's the wrong word. It seems to have got to a point where its stability is okay again, but like the damage is still done on a lot of parts.
oh yeah, a lot of people are still hurt about it. And it's kind of like the same. I hate to keep going back to it, but you know, with the whole thing about COVID passports, and they were going to say that, oh yeah, we don't need that anymore. And I'm like, for fuck's sake, like.
And then Boris going and saying, "Oh,
it
might be an option for winter." I'm like, oh god.
And then
which person are we supposed to listen to? Because the Prime Minister's the Prime Minister, but the Health Secretary is Sajid Javid.
Because. And that's the thing that really pissed me off, because we've been telling people, like, you know, you need this in order to travel and in order to.
They built it all out. My mum and dad went to France a few weeks ago, and they had to use their abroad passport to show people in the shops when they were buying things. It got really silly. Like my dad's app got logged out. It did. Had to log back in again. Had to change his password. He called me up from France to try and help him out. I mean, the domestic one was a little bit easier because you could add it to your Apple Wallet. I don't know why you couldn't add the one that leaving the out of the country, international passport on there. You couldn't add that on. But like honestly, like I think whoever designed the vaccine passport system did a decent enough job. But it's just like there were problems, there were holes in some places. Like I do think the NHS's official app is miles and miles and miles better than the COVID-19 app, like, but the confusion was still there, like with that as well, like people like, which app am I downloading? It's tiny bit, it is a bit more obvious if you're using your eyes properly, like not I'm trying to say that people's eyesight's shit, but like one says NHS bold and one says NHS COVID-19, so like I feel like there is, if you're not paying attention enough, I think that's your own fault really, and the joke's on you at that point. But
that's
I get
the thing,
some people do. Yeah.
Because at the vaccination centre, when we tell people, like, have you got the NHS app? And they usually say yes, but then they go, so not the COVID-19 one, but the NHS app. And they go, maybe not. Or they look and they go, no. And so that's what, and so I don't know any other vaccine centre, but whilst they wait in the observation tent, we do have sheets around the observation tent, a QR code to go straight to downloading the NHS app that they need. So there's basically no excuse for not having it on you. And I think for me, I was all for it because I think people were sharing, and I'll go back to it, but I remember people sharing that, they're going to be using vaccine passports in order to go to supermarkets or going traveling and this and that, and I just have to keep saying to them, except that scenario is not happening. So for you to share that is a bit idiotic, because
you only look like an idiot yourself because it's old news.
It's like, and they go say like, we have a freedom to choose, and I'm like, that's absolutely true. You have every right to get it or not get the vaccine. I mean, some people come up to us and they say, I don't want it. And then I just go, okay, exit's right there.
I don't get why you get people still come to the vaccination centre knowing full well that they don't want it. Like, that's stupid.
Oh no, we've had anti-vaxxers just come in. I don't know how they got in. I think they just booked an appointment, got in line, and as soon as they were in the building, then they can just shout out saying we're poisoning people and all that bullshit.
Why do they waste their time?
I know, it's such a waste of time. Like, dude, you got better things to do. Oh wait, never mind. You put razor blades behind your posters. Fuck you.
And then obviously a lot of that stuff, like there was places on the TFL network in London. Oh my god,
we got warned months ago about those posters. So they say, like, if you see any of them like around near the vaccination centre,
and they know that people are going to rip them off, and they'll go,
and they're going to get cut. Yeah, that's
not fun at all.
And I'm like, well, what's your point? How are you trying to get people to side with you if you're going to hurt people? I don't know. So
tell me about it. I'll say we've definitely touched on COVID probably more than we was expecting to do.
No, but again, like I said, it's something I have to deal with my daily, job, and it's hard to avoid. So
I think we'll probably do now is I think we'll obviously push on with some of the TV and film stuff that I think we're probably going to take more time to talk about that in the next few episodes. Obviously, currently Disney Plus's current series is obviously What If at the minute. They're 5 episodes in as of tomorrow, I think. Tomorrow's Wednesday, the 15th of September.
I'm just going to say Captain Britain because it's fucking Captain Britain, not Captain Carter. But there you go. Then there was the T'Challa episode. Then
Doctor Strange.
No, it was the Hank Pym episode.
Yep, that's it. Doctor Strange.
And then Doctor Strange, and then the zombies.
That's the one. That's it.
So yeah, 5. I mean, some spoilers from a particular episode, which I won't say what, but yeah. So I really enjoyed the last 3 episodes because I thought the first 2 were okay. They were fine, but I just didn't think much of it. I just thought, okay, cool. And then when I saw the episode where basically the episodes is what if the Avengers were there were no more, or the world had not known the Avengers. Yeah,
they all got killed off. Yeah,
and I thought that was kind of cool. And even though there were some bits that I just didn't think about much sense, but again, that'd be spoiling it.
Yeah, I think that, like, finding out the way that a lot of them died was really mad and cool. Like, obviously, given the character that obviously was the bad guy, it kind of like perpetuates like obviously it really does make you beg the question, what if, like, and that's the beauty of the show. Like, I mean, like, I forget the guy's name that like oversees everything. Like, he goes,
The Watcher.
He goes, you beg the question, what if? I love that it does that at the start of every episode. The only thing I have an issue with is Disney Plus. You need to sort out your skip intro problem, because when I want to skip it, I just want to skip the Marvel Studios thing going on the screen. I just want to get to the bit where he's like, I'll be your guy through the different multi dimensions. I am the Watcher, blah blah blah. But then when you press skip, it goes, I am the Watcher, and then it just goes, beg the question, what if? Like it skips a sizable mini chunk there that like sets the story off, and like I'm just like, I'm sorry, but the intro most of the time is just the card screen that says Marvel Studios, or it might be the the ident that like goes, welcome to this, and you're like, okay, no problem. So yeah, fix that please, Disney Plus, thank you.
But I really enjoyed the Doctor Strange episode as well.
Me too. It's very much and not very much a fan service episode. A lot of fans probably were massive on that. Obviously, I think the title was really good. It's if he lost his heart instead of his hands. That's quite a good line for the.
And I liked how like certain things happened, and it's just like it gets fucking dark.
Oh my god! Like if you, let's put it like this: if you're somebody in California or somewhere, if you're doing it a bit naughty in the country with illegally, if you're doing drugs while you're watching that, you probably would have a nasty trip in that last few parts.
Or you might have a good trip. Depends.
You might have a good trip. I don't know. I mean, they do say that you should be mindful of what you watch when you do have edibles and stuff like that.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I really enjoyed where it was going. It was just showing that Marvel was taking risks, and,
really, yeah.
And the fact that and it was a kind of a good thing. Like somebody mentioned, is like the fact that the Marvel Studios don't have to meet a status quo. So say like they need a certain amount of characters to survive in order to continue more movies or more shows later on.
They were able to be very, very, very aggressive with what they did.
They could do whatever they want. They can kill as many characters as they like. I
love the fact that, like, this is a spoiler, so skip over this by about 10 or 15 seconds, guys, if you are one of those ones who haven't watched it yet, because this only was last week's episode, obviously, as of this recording. When Cap came on, he was literally on screen for what, maybe 15 to 30 seconds, maybe even a minute. He had the smallest amount of time on screen that episode.
And I loved how Bucky said the thing that he said in since the first Captain America film, and then Steve Rogers said it in Winter Soldier, and he went, sorry Cap, end of the line for you, and then
end of the line. He knocks him out the train.
Well, it cuts him in half.
Oh yeah, he cuts him clean. Oh my!
But the thing that really got me was when Okoye like cut Falcon in half, like split in the middle.
That was so bad. That was like very un-Marvel like.
I was like, fuck, like that.
It was really aggressive.
But yeah, then this is like more characters were getting killed, and then someone showed up that happened to them. I was like, oh my god. So yeah, I
mean, the one thing I was a little bit unhappy about was I don't know if maybe I was hearing it wrong or not, but I do not believe that Tom Holland voiced Spider-Man in that.
No, it wasn't him,
and I was really annoyed by that, because I think that was a missed opportunity, because they got pretty much everyone else.
They had everyone, like they got Ruffalo, Paul Rudd,
Iron Man, even though he wasn't really voicing much.
It wasn't Robert Downey Jr.
Oh no, actually no, I don't think it was.
He was very much dead. But
yeah, to be fair, all of the zombies really didn't speak, did they, sir?
And then they had Paul Bettany's Vision. But yeah, I just love that bit. Like, there's a bit where in the Doctor Strange episode where Doctor Strange knows about the Watcher nearby. And he's just kind of. And there's even a point where he's doing
because the Watcher said that he was not going to get involved because he said it would be too.
He cannot interfere. He doesn't matter. He doesn't care like how many timelines there is in each scenario. you cannot interfere.
At that point, obviously, he'd obviously got too involved being over the Watcher there, and he obviously was visible to.
Well, something was happening at the end of the Doctor Strange episode, and then Doctor Strange
the reality
was basically was asking him for help, and he even the Watcher said, "I could help you, but I can't.
Even if I wanted
can't.
to, I can't." Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was that, and I was like, well, the way it ended, it was just like shit. Like,
I do quite like that a lot of the episodes a lot of them do have like a sort of open ending, which makes you think that like there might be like a sort of summarizer episode.
They've been saying that they've been potentially saying that might happen in like maybe in the films, like,
and that's what I think is really cool.
Because we still got Doctor Strange and the madness of the multiverse.
Not to mention, obviously, you know, obviously, since we had Loki recently, we'll talk very briefly about the ending of Loki, because obviously it's been a while now; it's not as fresh. But I do like the fact that we got the old Loki back in the episode. You know, obviously where everyone was getting killed off, obviously, if the Avengers.
Yeah, that was cool.
And like, I mean, I won't spoil the ending, even though I could just say it's a spoiler and just skip this part. We all know who have watched it. We know what happens at the end of that episode, and it is quite a surprising ending, to be fair. It was sort of expected, but not expected at the same time, because obviously it's just unfortunate what happened with the situation in that ending. But you know what, I like the fact that now I finally have now watched Captain Marvel now, so I understand a lot of the sort of backstory of all those films.
Well, that's the thing that because even my sister hasn't seen any of the new. She's only seen the films, and I said to her, you have to watch the Disney Plus series, because there's things that's going to happen in the films later on that you're going to go, what the hell happened? You go,
yeah, because you're not up to date with the shows.
That was happening with the shows. So it's like, yeah, for those people that think they could just watch the movies, nah, you're going to have to update yourself with the TV shows.
I guess you could say it's a bit of a blessing and a curse for some people who aren't like avid Marvel fans. But I argue the fact that like if you really do care about enjoying, you know, even on a sub level of being a sort of fan, like, you know, you'll be there watching it not exactly the same time as everyone else, but like you'll be there watching it a bit later. Like I know people who are still now starting to watch Loki, and they'll be like, oh, but it's only just come out a little while ago, hasn't it? It's literally like, what, 2 months ago? And to us, that's a long time ago. 2 months ago. Like, we're already looking at the end of the What If series at the minute. Like, that's already nearly coming and going.
We've still got 3 more episodes. And tomorrow's episode is what if Killmonger rescued Tony Stark.
Yeah, that's going to be quite interesting. Obviously, we'll talk really quickly about Loki, and then we'll obviously just touch on Hawkeye. I'm sure we'll probably talk more about Hawkeye in the next few episodes, because it's obviously not out yet, and it's not due until
it's coming out in November. But
it's like, is it the 22nd or the 24th of November? I think
I can't remember. But
one of those days in the 20th.
It's getting close to Christmas. That's just
they've basically said this holiday season in the trailer, so you know they're pretty much capping it as that.
And other Marvel stuff. They've shown sort of trailers during the PlayStation reveal. I think it was called. I can't remember what the event was called.
Yeah.
But they showed a bunch of PlayStation exclusives that was coming out, and 2 of them at Marvel is Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Which looks really interesting, which Tony Todd has been having a bit of a reemergence with Candyman, and now voicing Venom in Spider-Man 2. So that's cool.
And I believe that they've also got a Wolverine game coming, right?
They've got a Wolverine game, which
that's so cool.
I'm more excited for that game than because I tried to play Spider-Man. I was somehow just didn't get.
Don't get me wrong, the Spider-Man games from Insomniac are brilliant. Like, obviously now there's going to be a lot more of a tighter integration of those games on PlayStation, because obviously now Insomniac has now officially joined PlayStation. So that was obviously quite a pivotal moment change. That was obviously because they, back in the Spyro days, they were very tight with you know, obviously they were very tight on the side of the game making for PlayStation predominantly. Obviously they've had their stints with Xbox over time, like, you know, Sunset Overdrive was it was a sort of mediocre sort of game for most people. But like, you know, like they've really flexed their muscles now. Like, you know, coming from games like coming from games like Spyro all the way up to the, you know, the likes of Spider-Man, and just the next gen feel. Like, I didn't get to play Miles Morales, but I have played Spider-Man, the first PS4 game, and it's
Yeah,
fucking beautiful.
my brother has got both Spider-Man and Miles Morales, and he said both games are great. Yeah, obviously, Miles Morales is shorter than Spider-Man,
Yeah, it's
and
most people have, I think, voiced their opinions that, like, is it really a full game?
apparently Miles Morales was supposed to be a DLC.
Ah.
But then I think Insomniac just kind of went, this feels like a more of a full-fledged game, so we'll just release it as a full-fledged game.
Just not as, like, as maybe as full rich as like the original one that came out on PS4 to start.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, because obviously my brother's got the on the PS4, they redesigned Peter Parker's face,
Mm.
because they redesigned it for the PS5 version of Spider-Man. And if you play Miles Morales in on the PS4, you get the new look of Peter Parker.
Ah.
So it's going to go really weird. Like if you play Spider-Man and then you go from Miles Morales and it's got that different design look. So my brother's kind of like, oh, for fuck's sake, I need to get that on the PS5, but I still can't get a PS5. So it's whatever.
Yeah,
So
we're all very much wanting that sort of thing to happen. Like, I've been looking at getting me a Series S at some point. Now that my job is pretty much secure, like I should hopefully be able to put a bit of money away for that after I've had my new iPhone first. The new iPhone is more important to me at the minute because I do need an iPhone upgrade at this point.
yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I'll say we'll round up talking about Loki. I'll say, obviously, as we said, it's come long and gone. It has. It was probably one of our favourite series that has actually released. On
It's
Disney
definitely
Plus.
one of my favorites. Yeah, for sure.
I think I would rate Falcon and Winter Soldier is probably my favourite series still, and then I'd probably say then I say Loki, and then I would say WandaVision. Like, don't get me wrong, I loved WandaVision, but I think it was more of a sort of, you know, it was a honeymoon phase really. Like, I enjoyed it, and I knew it was my favourite series at the time, but more series came out and I could sort of progressively change my opinion on it a bit more. And don't get me wrong, I haven't gone back and watched any of the series back fully through yet again. And I don't think I will, and probably till next year. I feel like I'm going to let the whole year kind of pass by, then I'll do a rewatch of all of them, you know, ready for the next lot of series next year to kind of like just refresh and rehash the memory.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy Loki. I think it's one of the stronger ones. I will say I think my favorite is still WandaVision. I had a bit of a connection with that a little bit more, and then Loki would be my second, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier will be my third favorite.
Yeah, Falcon and Winter Soldier was probably not everyone's major favorite because obviously it still went back to that sort of, you know, very much like fast-paced sort of action, like the Avengers. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people don't have an issue with that. I don't have an issue with that. But I think the reason why it's my favourite series still, or at least my second favourite series now. Actually, I think Loki's fighting for top spot at the minute. Definitely, I think I'll probably end up thinking by the end of What If. I think I will probably say. It is. I think What If might even become my third favourite series, and I think WandaVision might be knocked down to fourth. I actually really enjoy What If. Obviously, I won't talk more about it because obviously the series is not over yet, and I want to kind of give my full opinion at the end of the series and then place it properly. But the one thing that kind of just stuck out at me with Winter Soldier, Falcon and Soldier, is that I love Cap. I love the you know, transition of power between Bucky, you know, coming in as the Winter Soldier, but obviously becoming, you know, a really powerful ally and friend to Anthony, obviously, in his role, obviously as Sam, obviously, yeah, in the film, actually, to be fair, yeah, in the future films, obviously, because
he's going to be
Captain America, he is, and obviously they've announced that there is a new Captain America on the way. Was it Captain America 4? I don't know what they named it yet.
They'll probably have a subtitle at some point, but yeah, there's going to be a Captain America 4, but with Sam Wilson.
Speaking of which, obviously, we obviously met Madam Hydra at the end of that series, and then finally recently they obviously we'll get on to maybe speaking about Black Widow, maybe talk about it next episode, I think.
Yeah, maybe, but
The
we
link
did
is there
say,
now.
well, it's there, and it's also been revealed. So, I mean, Madame Hydra is in Black Widow, and
And obviously that
that
was
was
supposed to come
that was
first.
supposed to come out first, and then you go, "Who's this?" And then you see her in Falcon the Winter Soldier,
Hmm.
and then and so it's kind of interesting that obviously that switched. And when so obviously my sister's actually going to get the way that she was supposed to. So she see Black Widow, but not Falcon the Winter Soldier. So we kind of, so my brother and I kind of like leaned in and say, she's in the Falcon the Winter Soldier, like that.
I can't
And
wait
she,
to be able to just watch Black Widow as much as I please on Disney Plus when it releases without Premier Access.
well, speaking of which, like so obviously, as I do with my siblings, we watch films every month. So we go mostly blockbusters usually. So I think the last one we watched, well, okay, minus the one that I recently watched with one of my siblings, we watched the Suicide Squad,
Mm.
which I really fucking enjoyed that one.
I
I
know I'm
mean,
going to
don't
end
get
up
me.
watching that on streaming
I
at some
mean,
point.
that's the thing, though. I just think whatever you had in mind about the previous movies, this one is
Completely
very much
disregard, yeah.
it's very much a James Gunn movie,
And we know that
and
James Gunn did amazing work with, the Guardians of the Galaxy
Guardians of
films.
the Galaxy, and obviously he's going to be back with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which
Mm.
apparently on his Instagram post he shared that he's shown a pile of the storyboards that he's done for the film, so it's almost getting there to be filmed.
It's so exciting.
Um, And so yeah, basically, so the last thing I saw with my siblings was actually two films on different days. One of them I already seen, but one of them I hadn't seen. So I watched with my sister Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings,
Yeah,
and,
I'm
and
hopefully
I
going to be watching that at some point in the future. That and I don't know about the Eternals as well. Is the Eternals coming out in cinemas as well?
it's that's going to be in December, I think.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
it's
hoping to
later in the
see. I'm
year.
hoping to have seen both of those. Hopefully by the year's out, whether I'm watching them on streaming or not. Um, I know, obviously, we've got Spider-Man as well at the end of the year. No Way Home. The trailer came out for that as well, so you can see how much we've missed to talk about on the podcast. Like I'm excited for it all. Like I'm excited for the where Loki's going to go next, because obviously the ending for that was very much it was like the ending episode was a little meh. It could have been better, I think, with Kang. But the result of that is that we know there is definitely a series 2 on the way for that, and that makes me happy knowing that they committed to a series 2 before the show had even pretty much aired.
Well, it's also the fact that Kang is going to be, well, the variation of him is going to be introduced in Ant-Man, the third Ant-Man film.
Yeah, I forget what the name of it is. It's
It's
something
like something
quantum attack or something like that. I think
for Mania or something like that. I don't know.
quantum for mania. I think that's it. Yeah.
But yeah, so he was already cast as the character, but he wasn't. Nobody knew he was going to be in Loki. So when you saw him, you're like,
It was
"Oh
like
my god, it's him!" um, so yeah, I loved what Jonathan Majors did. Like apparently there was a bit in what in the scene when he was talking to Loki and was it Sylvia? Is
yeah,
that right?
Sylvia. Yeah, I love Sylvia's character. She's great.
There's a bit where Jonathan Majors like improvised something on the spot, and then you see the reactions, looking at each other, going like that. That was apparently genuine. That was apparently genuine. So
I
yeah,
like the guy who played Kang. He's really cool.
yeah, Jonathan Majors is a great.
So I remember
I've
seeing the
seen him.
behind the scenes of so I don't know if for those who haven't, like they've got a whole behind the scenes series called, I think it's called Marvel Avenged.
Assembled.
Assembled, that's it, Assembled, and they've done one for each of the series so far. So the last one they did was for Loki. They haven't done one for What If. I don't know whether they're going to do one for What If. I mean, obviously it's all voice acting is, but they might do like some behind the scenes of like how the storyboarding came together, how the animations all worked out. It'd be nice to see like a behind the scenes, because like it'd be like one of the biggest ways to show animation in not just Marvel but in the whole sort of Disney infrastructure. So obviously Disney are very famous for showing off how they design you know, Mickey Mouse and Goofy and Donald Duck. Like they do classes at different theme parks, and they do, you know, basically a massive push on like getting people into that world of designing storyboards that then you turn into animations, you know, even through the eyes of Pixar, you know. So like for Marvel to get in on that stint, you know, I know obviously it's not the first time that they've done something animated in the Marvel universe, but it's probably going to be the most received in the Marvel universe at this current time. And it's great to have something like What If break up that live action sort of, you know, goings on as series go, because like obviously What If didn't get a date announcement till the very like last few weeks before.
Yeah, nobody really knew when that was coming out, and it's like there's still a few of their productions that's still up in the air, like the Fantastic Four, Blade.
I mean, that's obviously right at the end of their calendar at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, at the moment. So, and then I think they just completed the Marvels at the moment. Or they're still shooting. I can't remember, but
there's so much production going on, it's unreal.
Yeah, and then you know the fact that they've also just announced that nothing Marvel but DC. They've announced that there's going to be a spin-off series of the Penguin from the Batman.
I remember hearing about that.
So Colin Farrell is going to have a bit more screen time.
That's great.
As the Penguin on HBO Max, and then they and speaking about DC and HBO Max, they revealed a photo of Peacemaker series that James Gunn has done. So I'm interested to see that, because obviously I really enjoyed the Suicide Squad, and
at the minute DC are definitely playing catch up, but they're not doing too bad. I don't think they're going to catch up with Marvel too soon.
They're getting better. I will say that. So
there's still plenty of room for improvement, but I'm excited as somebody looking in on DC these days, more so than like being as part of that universe, because I have kind of lost my love for it.
Yeah, but you know, obviously there's still Shazam 2 coming out, and then there's
Just need to see the first one and Aquaman. I've never watched both of them.
They're good. They're good fun. So
I know it is. It's like I feel like to be fair, I was pretty terrible with watching the Avengers movies. To be fair, most of the Avengers movies I not saw in the cinema. Like it just happened to be that I ended up seeing Infinity War in the cinema, and then I ended up watching Endgame through streaming, because I just didn't get around to
the only film I have not seen on the big screen, I don't know why, I always kick myself with, is Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I didn't see that on the big screen either, so I can't see.
Again, I kick myself for it because it's one of my favorites of the MCU.
I think the Winter Soldier one, it has a good place for me. Like, I don't go back and actively watch it as much as like the first Avenger, because the first Avenger holds, like, I love introducing new friends back into the industry, you know, into the Marvel universe through means, and like obviously I couldn't not finally catch up and watch Captain Marvel, because obviously I heard things that like it wasn't one of the best films, and I must be honest, I think a lot of that was horseshit in the end, because it really stopped me watching it sooner.
I really enjoyed the first Avenger. I
ended up really enjoying Captain Marvel. Like, don't get me wrong, Brie Larson, obviously she is a bit of a snooty fucker. Let's be honest. A lot of people don't like her because of the way she is.
I still like her, but I do admit that the way she was going about it was a little bit too
rude.
It was just a bit. Yeah, it was just, the fact was, like, you know, she was saying, you know, this wasn't really tailored for, you know, heterosexual men or something like that, and I'm like, that might be true, you know, because obviously you have a certain demographic you want to aim for, and if your aim is for, you know, if the female demographic, then good on you. But also, you can't really sort of dismiss whatever. So if you hear a criticism and you just go, "Well, I wasn't catering to you," it's like, well, you know, it's still a criticism that you may or may not just take on board. If you're not going to take on board, just go, "Okay, all right, interesting."
Leave it to that, yeah.
That's it. But no, apparently, and then even during interviews, some of the cast members were just looking very obviously,
disgusted.
You know, not just, I wouldn't say disgusted, just very irritated.
They were a bit. There just really wasn't happy with the way she was being.
Which is a shame because I was quite a fan of her work, like with her bit roles in Scott Pilgrim, Don John, and I still need to see Short Term 12 because, funny enough, obviously that stars Brie Larson, but that was directed by, I can't remember his name, but he directed Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Oh wow, that's good.
There's a bit of a connection there, but yeah, that's been a film that I want to see, but. Yeah, Shang-Chi it's definitely one of the better MCU films this year. I did enjoy Black Widow, but this one beats it easily.
I think we'll definitely touch on talking about Black Widow next episode probably, because I think it would be good to talk about it properly. I'd say obviously today's episode has really been more of a catch-up episode, and I'd say I think I'll flag to call a little bit short here because I think it's been quite a long episode already, and I think sometimes we get carried away too easily and like we'll record for ages. But yeah, I say it's 10 to. Just trying to look at my watch. I ain't got my watch on my wrist, but I can see my time on the laptop. It's 10 to 11 now. It is. So I think that's definitely a good place to end. We've had a great catch-up episode. It's been really nice to converse back and forth with you, Owun, as always. And we hope that everybody joining us back has really enjoyed our first return episode. We do promise that we won't take long again to come back for another episode.
There's still a few bits and pieces that I just realised, like, oh yeah, I just did that recently. So, but I'll talk about that in the next episode for sure.
Yeah. So there's so much to try and fit in one episode. There's only so many hours in the day that we can fit in an episode, and we don't want to give you a 4-hour episode. Because even I wouldn't listen to a 4-hour episode. So if I can't, then I know someone else probably can't.
No, not at all.
But yeah, stay tuned. We're gonna obviously have another episode out in the next, hopefully week or two, and say we don't try and put a time on things, but like we are hoping to get back to a regular schedule now of at least a week or two, between episodes. And I don't even know which episode day this is coming out. I think this will end up probably coming out Wednesday or Thursday at the minute. I might put this out Thursday because I think Thursday will be a bit easier for me to put it out. But yeah, I'll say whenever this episode is out this week, we hope you have enjoyed it. Stay tuned, on our social medias. As Owun said at the start, you'll probably be up to date with what we're all doing at the minute. Like we're both out doing our, photography stuff. Obviously, I'm out doing my collaborations at the minute. So yeah, do check out both our Instagrams if you haven't really been perusing through them and you're just a regular listener in general. But yeah, as always, I have been one of your hosts, Josh Deakin at Mr. Josh Deakin.
And I'm Owun Burkett at Owen.Burkett. So yeah, just stay safe. Wear a mask if you need to, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, take care and see you soon. Bye.
See you then.